volume's low. Hello, witches.
Hi, witches. How are you? Happy Thursday night.
Always trying to adjust once I get going on here. I just love that. Yeah, happy Thursday. This is our last live for the tarot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is it.
This is it.
This is like, you know what this is? You know what this is?
What?
It's 22.
22 it.
Yeah, because we had 11 weeks and we had 11 lives. So it's number
maybe.
22 of the tarot. Ooh. Did
I'm
you
just-
forget something?
I'm just going to sneak this earring on here that I forgot. It was just laying here next to my drink. Because, you know, I like to have both of them on. It started to look weird a little bit.
Hey, Selena. Thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate you.
Good evening and
Hi,
welcome.
Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. We are going over the Pentacles
The
tonight.
homework for Pentacles.
homework
so
for
Monday
Pentacles.
night, we went over the suit of Pentacles, Ace through 10.
Yeah.
And tonight, we're going to do the homework that we gave to everybody on Monday night, which neither one of us have actually done. So we're going to be.
We're about to wing it. We're going to wing the shit
We're
out of
about to
this right
seriously
now.
wing it.
It's going to be great.
That's in the other room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the Ace through 10 cards for the suit of Pentacles, and it deals with the world around us, our earthly possessions, money, jobs, finances, and it's, you know, when we went through the wands, we talked about action and inspiration and getting things moving with a plan and where we think we'll go. And then when we went to cups, these are all of our emotions about our connections and our people and our relationships as we're getting things going. And then we moved to swords, which is how we think about our thoughts. So this is the reflection within our minds. And so all that stuff was going on sort of internally, but some external stuff, of course, because relationships are with the world around us, with people. But this is now our relationship with things, with material possessions, with houses, cars, money, jobs, you know, where we live, all of that. So it's the most external one, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, originally the pentacles were meant to represent the coin, meaning the things that you could buy in the physical world and how you would, you know, sell, trade, make stuff. The commerce world, is that the right way to say that? Because I was thinking of e-commerce, but that's because I grew up ordering stuff online probably. But the commerce world and everything in it. So are you going to go first?
Well, so I've been trying to think of a story, because what we've tried to do with the homework, what we told all of our folks all of our witches who were in our courses, was to lay out the cards 1 through 10. And then you don't even need to know the meaning of the cards, but make up a story from one card to the next. So like tell the story, right?
Yeah.
But I think what Jamie and I don't think I know what we've done is we've looked at the cards and we've tried to think about a time in our life,
real situation
where we could say, this is a story that happened to us.
Yes.
So that's what we've been able to do
up until now.
And so right now I'm still, I'm sort of like thinking, because there's been so many, because if you remember, we're going to start with the ace. I'm sorry. So the Ace of Pentacles is a card about new enterprise or new opportunity around finances, around jobs and things like that. So I guess since I'm holding it up, I'm just going to go ahead and do the best I can and tell the story about when I got this really great second job. So first of all, you guys may remember, I've told you about this. I was a single mom with 3 kids and no child support. And so when I moved to Kansas City, so I kind of left Southern California in a hurry, you know, in 1988, because there was this whole element there that I was living that I needed to make a clean break for my kids. And so I had met a guy, he was from Kansas City. And when I first met him, I was like, and don't even think about me moving to Kansas, because all I thought about Kansas was cornfields and cows, right? And I'm like, I am never going to Kansas. And that's just how I said it to him too. I was like, I am never going to Kansas. then I took a trip out there and I was like, oh my God, there's like a whole city here.
It's not outdoor bathrooms and no running water.
It's not cows and cornfields. It was like a whole ass city. I was like, oh wow, it's like tall buildings and stuff. I was like, I could do this. So when I sort of like needed to make my escape, if you will, because it really truly was an escape. I was living a lifestyle that was not beneficial to me or my children. And so I sort of like saw this exit stage right, which meant taking my kids and going with this guy that I'd known for 6 months and moving to Kansas City. All right, you can judge me all you want, but that's what happened. I was much younger then. I would make a different decision today, knowing what I know, but that has absolutely nothing to do with the story of the Pinnacles. So when I first went there, when I first got to Kansas City, I started working like temp jobs, and then I got a job at the school district, and then I got this other job. My temp jobs led to something else, but then I got the job in 1995. So I moved there in 88. But then I got the job in 1995 that would really turn into my career, where I still work today. And about a year or so into the job that I was working at, my boss came to me with an opportunity.
Ooh.
And it was to be the like secretary, the executive secretary to a board of directors, which, and it was like they were going to pay me cash on the side. And so I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, opportunity. And it was like, for me, $1,000 a month at that time was huge. I was already working 2 jobs. So I worked my day job. Then I went to work at LabCorp at nighttime. Cause with 3 kids, and I mean, even though my rent was like $350 a month, was just unbelievably low when I think back on it.
Yeah.
But at the time I had a car payment and I had 3 children, and $25,000, that wasn't shit to make when you got 3 kids. And there was no help from the state anymore, because at that price point, you're priced out of any kind of, you're
well enough.
You're well above the poverty line. So the state is not giving you food stamps, Medicaid, any of that stuff that I had relied on for so many years. So anyway, in about May of 96, my boss came to me with this opportunity. He was on the board. They had just fired their secretary. And so he asked me if I was interested. And I'm like, I'm all over that, So that was my opportunity with us. And I had no idea what I was getting into. And actually what it turned into was an 18-year job for me. So, but it started in 1996 with an offer from my boss for this new opportunity to become the secretary to the board of directors. So, of course, as I already explained to you a moment ago, I already had 2 jobs, because I worked my full-time day job. I was an office manager in a PR firm. And then my nighttime job, I was doing data entry at LabCorp. So now I had this other job, which wasn't a full-time job. What I would do is I would work it on the weekends. Do you remember me taking you kids to the office to like stuff? Because what we would do, because this board of directors was like a manufacturing organization, and they would have meetings, like annual meetings. And so what I would do is I would support those annual meetings, like putting all the meeting packet stuff together, writing all the stuff, name tags and attendee lists and all these things. Yeah. So there was an annual meeting in September, and there was all this like build up to it. So from about April to September, I was super busy, but the rest of the time it was pretty slow. But okay, so here's what happens when you're really poor and all of a sudden you get like an extra $1,000 a month. All of a sudden you think your ass is rich and you can afford to buy your kids new shoes and new clothes and stuff. And you can, but you're still juggling your resources. And even though this card is about juggling resources or money from 2 sources, I actually had 3 sources going on, but I had 2 that were like the 2 jobs that paid me, like they took taxes out. This job was like undercover. It was not undercover. I was paid cash. So that was like, now
under
I got
the table
but I had to pay taxes on that because I got a 1099. So this represents, after I got this job, me juggling and figuring out how to balance my whole life, when all of a sudden I have this influx of an extra $1,000. And I didn't get paid monthly. I got paid quarterly. So I would get that money on a quarterly basis. It was $1,000, 12, whatever that comes out to. Every 3 months I would get paid. And so I would have to like figure out how to, and when you don't have money for such a long time, and then you get money, it's so easy to spend, to just like, to buy this shit that you never got to buy before because you were too broke to buy it. So there was like this whole learning curve for me of balancing like getting that money and having that extra money. And then do I quit this other job? Is like, no, because I like having this extra money. So for a while, I juggled and figured out how to make those three things work together for me and my family, and to give my kids because all my kids were young. They were all in school at that time and they needed things, or I thought they needed things. Okay. So, but what happened along the way is that, I realized about this time in my life. So this is like 1990, what did I just say? 96, 97, right? And I had really only been into the true workforce, the corporate world at this point for about 6 years. So I was like really building my reputation as a skilled professional, which is what this card here is about. Now, this actually shows a master craftsman, but you can, show somebody building, right? But you can be building. You don't have to be like with a hammer and nails and plans. You can actually be building in other ways too. So what I was doing, I was getting really good at my job, and I was building a reputation among the people that I worked for being very efficient and very good at my job. And I really prided myself on that. Very real. And you know what? I did. And so this is me building and proving myself to myself and the people I work with that I'm a skilled professional. Of course, what happens when you start getting money. I don't know if this always happens, but when you come into money and all of a sudden you have money and you're managing, you're like, all of a sudden you're like, get afraid that you're going to like not have enough. Right. Because it's always
go back to being poor.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always, for me anyway, as somebody who I thought we were poor growing up. It was a family of 6 kids. And my mom worked. We weren't poor, but our Christmas presents were used. My folks would buy them. They had 6 kids, so they would buy stuff at the thrift store and then like repaint the bikes and I remember one year, you remember if you were a kid in the like 60s, you would get like this whole kitchen set that was like the stove and the refrigerator. It was like this whole little setup of a kitchen. I remember one year me and my sisters got that, and my parents had bought it at like a thrift store and they repainted it. So, I always had this thing about like lack, like worrying that there was never enough. And even though by the time that I was a year or so into this job, these 3 jobs that I had, I had enough. There was always this fear of not having enough. And so I remember distinctly that I went 5 years wearing the same pair of tennis shoes so that my children could have new school clothes and new shoes every September. And that was more important for me. So I probably had enough to buy myself new tennis shoes, but I didn't because I was afraid and I was hoarding my resources. I probably wasn't spending wisely either, but that's a whole nother story. So this is a card about lack. And again, I think it's just like the mentality of thinking that you don't have enough, because what do we really need? What do we really need to be happy in this world? How much material shit is gonna bring us joy? Yeah. It's not really, it's not that. Those are not the things that make us happy. But we're fed this, we watch TV, and at the time TV was a big thing because we didn't have the internet yet. And so there's like these commercials and all the things you should buy and all the furniture that you should have. And then there was always this feeling for me that there was never enough. I never had enough to do the things that I thought that society told me that I should be doing. So I like lived in this place of feeling like I didn't have enough. I think this is a card about generosity, and I really feel like the generosity came from other people who were around me, because my boss who got me this job, like he got me a raise and within about 2 years of having this job. So I got like a raise, and then I started getting per diems, and I started getting all these extra perks. And and I was like, so the people that I was working for were very generous with me. They were showing me that they valued my work, even though I wasn't a beggar, but I sure felt like one. So, this is a card right here, the 7 of Pentacles. This is a card about reaping what you sow. And for me, I think it was like I worked hard. I stayed on task. I did what I was supposed to do. I showed up. I performed. I outperformed. In fact, my whole thing was like I am known for my dedication to the company, because people have known me. I've worked there almost 30 years now. They know that I'm the person that they can call when they need something, and I will always be there. So this is a card about reaping what you sow. And I think when you come with that attitude of doing all the things that, 'cause I was in a support position. That was my role. I supported 2 bosses. Mm-hmm. And I did everything that I could to be really good at that. And I was.
And that was, after we were grown, that was her whole world. I mean, that was what she was obsessed with. She did the kid and job thing part-time, half obsessed with us, half obsessed with work. But once we were, nothing she needed to worry about anymore, this job was like everything to her.
Job was everything to me.
Everything.
So about this time, I decided to try to go to school, because all I had was a high school education. And so I just felt like I needed more skills, even though I was really skilled at what I did, which was basically being a secretary, a glorified secretary.
She was so much more than that, but there was not another position.
There's not another name for it.
Yeah. It's just like but she was everything. She kept them running like that.
I did. I really did.
Everything.
I was
with those 2.
I was really, and the company was growing at this time. And so, over the course of the years that I worked there, eventually I moved on to, after 16 years of working for the company, I went to work for another department. I left my bosses that I had worked for 16 years. And I loved them too, but things were starting to change. And so I went to work in the marketing department. And this is where I discovered that I had a talent for being creative. I had no idea, right? So this is a card about skilled work. So what happens when, I think, at least for me anyway, when I was in this job and I continued to grow, and what I did, me in particular, is everything that they would ask me to do, I didn't care if I knew how to do it or not. I would try to figure it out. Or I would figure it out. And so I would just take on more and more responsibility as much as I can to gain the skill and the knowledge to keep elevating myself, so I could keep getting raises and stuff like that.
You were going to talk about school possibly?
I was talking about school, because I did go back to school finally, or I did enroll in college, community college. I went for about a year and a half. I thought I wanted to be a paralegal. Actually, I thought I wanted to be a legal secretary, because I figured they made it like bank, right? Because all I really had an aspiration for at that time was to be a secretary. But legal secretaries, they make bank. So I started taking college classes and planning to be a paralegal. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then I got into the course where you have to do research work. Granted, now, mind you guys, this was way before the internet. Right? Way before anything was on Google. Nobody even knew what Google was. If you just said Google, they would have just been like, what? It would have been gobbledygook or something like that. So all the research that you had to do as a paralegal was, you had to go into stacks and you had to dig into books and stuff. And I was like, I hate this. So I realized that was not going to be my job. Plus, having 3 young children going to school, it was really tough. I managed to get through about 18 months of it, and then I quit.
But then she did graduate. I don't know where it's coming in the story. She went back to school and graduated.
Yeah, years later with a marketing
more recently.
degree.
I feel like that was more current in the story where you elevated into the marketing thing and then you went to school and got a marketing degree. I'm helping tell her story now. So,
okay, all right.
now
So
she's
we'll
these
jump
skilled-
15 years ahead. We're going to jump 15 years ahead where I
Yeah.
went back to college at 55 and got a degree in marketing because I had been working in the marketing department for about 10 years
Yeah.
at that time. And I was like,
That
I
became
want to
her
go
skilled
finish.
work.
I wanted to go finish that degree. And I was like,
Yeah.
if I'd had my choice, I would have gone to school for a liberal arts degree, like political science or graphic artist or something like that. But in my industry, those types of degrees had no value.
Yeah.
So I did what I needed to do, and I got a bachelor's in marketing. So that's when
now you prove to yourself and everybody else you're a
yeah.
certified skilled worker
And
with
so,
a degree.
So by this time, the kids are grown now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and the job that I started with like 15 years before that, right about this time, not too long after that, that job came to an end. The job that I took on with, when I first started in 96,
Yeah.
It lasted 18 years.
The under the table
But
job.
what happened is after all of this hard work and the children leaving home, I finally had financial independence. When you don't have any more children,
No more dependence.
no more
financial
dependence.
independence.
When your children finally grow up and leave the house and go off to the Navy and go off and live their own lives, then finally you're like, oh my God, I can breathe. And the money that I make is like, I don't have to buy school shoes and I don't have to buy school outfits and all that stuff. So I finally achieved financial independence, which is what this card is about, at about age 45. So I took the long way, you guys. I just want you to know that. But what happened in the end of it was what happened. So this is a card about financial security. So what eventually happened with that, my whole mindset sort of changed where when the kids came back home, because I had my youngest daughter move in with me twice with her kid and then kids, is you realize that I realized that there was not this lack that I always feared. And I finally, after all the years of working so hard and improving on myself and my skills and all of that, that I had finally gotten to a place where I actually felt like I had some security, some financial security, and I didn't have to worry about money anymore.
Yes.
And that was about $25,000 ago. So.
That was a very good story through the cards.
So that is my Pentacles story.
Ace through 10.
That was a long ass story, but
it was the growth through your place in the job world,
It was my career path and raising my kids and working multiple jobs and gaining new skills and learning to balance
finances
and balancing between like feeling that there's never enough to finally getting to the point where you're like, there is enough and I'm okay and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was actually a beautiful little.
You had no idea.
I didn't know that was coming. I had no idea what I was going to say at all when we started this, but that is my story. So,
well, thank you so much for sharing that.
I think Jamie really enjoyed it because she remembers all of these years.
Yes.
She wasn't so young that she doesn't remember.
Yeah.
Even me being in college when she was like 7 or maybe 8.
No,
so like 90s.
I was probably like 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
10 or 11.
After you raise your kids, you're like, how old were you? It's like, I don't remember.
Weren't you like 5? Mom, I was in middle school. So, yeah.
Your kids remember all the ages they were when stuff happened, but it's funny, the parents start to forget. Like I had to ask my son, he said, like, how old are you going to be?
I remember having you but what year was that?
I can't do math in my head, so
I think the biggest thing about you moving into the corporate world and us joining her on the weekends at her office, sometimes we would help her prepare the package. She'd lay things out. She's like, okay, now here's what needs to happen. I was like, yes, I'm on it. Detail oriented. I love this stuff.
Yeah, I would bring the kids in to help me with these because there would be 200 people at these meetings that we would have, and so I would bring the kids into the office with me on a Saturday and we'd stuff these registration packets,
Yeah.
and we'd have
And
big
I check
boxes.
name labels. I'd be like, make sure everybody had a name tag. But my most favorite part of going to her office, you guys, was the coffee bar. This is where I fell in love with coffee and hot drinks. I don't remember having a coffee pot like at home at that time, but obviously, yeah. But at the office, they had different flavored creamers, and there was sugars, and there was, and it was always hot and ready to go. I was like, yeah, that's when my coffee addiction started. All because of my mom's second job. And I was probably like 13 or 14 when I was like, a cup of coffee doesn't hurt, does it? What about 5? I'm sure it'll be fine. This helps me get work done. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your story. It was really fun. You know what I love, you guys? What I was thinking about while Kat was telling this story is that this is on a live on YouTube, and it's here forever. And the grandkids eventually, you know, when they're like older, this will always be around for them to hear that story of you. And I know, don't get me teared up.
That, you know, that to me, like, it's really, when I think about not only will my grandkids potentially hear, but what about their kids?
Yeah.
You know, I may get to meet, but they probably won't remember me because I'll be gone before they start having like real memories they'll have some vague memories of their great grandma, but
yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah. I'm like, I love that story is now here, and we can forever go back and watch it anytime. It's so great.
So that is the benefit. I think that makes a good point about when for those of you who are doing the homework with us on these weeks, when you can make up a fake story about the cards. You can just tell a story, like describe them in a story and make it up. But if you can connect it to something in your life, a point in your life, a period in your life, a day in your life, a week, a year, 15 years in your life, then you can really, truly like make that connection with those cards. And then you have like this beautiful thing to think about
the stories
when you look at them again. He's like, oh my God, like this one, this right here, I'll tell you, financial security for me was a long time coming. And so when I finally got to this, it was a real accomplishment for me because I worked very hard to get myself out of like where I was in my 20s, where I was living on welfare with 3 kids, into my 40s, where I was like, I owned a house and a car, and I owned a car, and I paid all my bills, and I had a good credit score, and I could get credit, and all the things that come along with financial security that when you're younger and you don't have it, I don't know, it's just a different world. So,
yeah. Well, and I think getting to this card is income, you know, and one point is like having enough money in the bank that you think you're secure, but then it's also overcoming, like you said, that mindset of lack and there not being enough. It's like the convergence of both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm dying to hear what you have to say because Jamie also did not. We just, you know, the time was really the days are short and there's a lot going on, and so for us to sit down and like plan this out, this is the live. So we're like, we're gonna wing it.
We're gonna wing it.
So this is us winging it.
Well, my winging it is, you know, I've been in and out of jobs since I left the Navy because I just never really found what was right for me, but. When I got out of the Navy, I moved to South Carolina. I knew nobody there except my son's father, and it wasn't a great place for me. I really struggled to connect. So I was waiting for the universe to hand me something. I walked into many different places in these small towns and just like, are you guys hiring? I didn't even know what they did in the building. I was like, I don't know. What do you guys do here? I'm sure I could do something. Like, I'm an able-bodied person and I'm intelligent. I could figure it out. So I ended up, you know, getting a job there that I did okay in this small town financially, but it was not satisfying at all. I do believe that my sole purpose here is to be of service to other people, which is why the military came so easy for me. I ended up joining the National Guard when I was in South Carolina because I was so bored. I'm like, where are all the good people? They must still be in the military. Like something is going on. Where do I find people who have their shit together? I don't know. So I joined the Army National Guard. I was like, if I get deployed, okay, fine. I'm fine with that. But through that job, which was really just about drinking on the weekend, we really didn't do anything. It was the biggest joke ever. The National Guard that gets deployed, I'm like, you guys have no training. I did that for 2 years. Nobody is trained in anything. It's kind of crazy. So through the National Guard, though, I got offered an opportunity to work for Northrop Grumman, which is a pretty big tech company. And I was in IT. I worked with computers and satellites and all the digital world stuff. And so the equipment that the military uses is usually owned by big corporations, and we lease it. The military leases it. So when these guys would come and fix the equipment, I'm that person that's like right there, like, okay, what are you doing? Well, how does that work? Well, why is this there? And in forming relationships, I got offered a job to go to Afghanistan for $150,000 for 1 year. I was like, yeah, that'll get me out of South Carolina. I could move away and do something different. So that was my opportunity, was to take a contract working for the Department of the Army in Afghanistan. And I said yes immediately. And
I was scared.
She was terrified. She actually tried to disown me at one point.
I did? I'm sorry.
She called me a martyr a little bit. I was like, I don't even know what that means, but it's okay. Cameron was very small, so my son was only like 2.5 at this point. So we're going to get to that part. But the opportunity to make that money, to change my life, to literally move anywhere in the country I wanted to, because I was not staying in South Carolina, I took that opportunity. Now, in all of a sudden, you go from, you're making $40,000, $50,000 a year to you're making $150,000 a year. It's a big jump, and you have to figure out, all right, well, if I do have this job for 1 year, I'm leaving everything behind. What am I going to pay for while I'm gone? Do I keep my apartment or my house? Do I, where does my car go? Where's the things go? How do I help somebody support my child while I'm gone? That was my struggle. It was like where to start placing the finances, because I knew that this money was going to help me move states, like move to Florida, where I'd never been before. I'd never even stepped foot in Florida, and I knew I needed to be near the water. So for me, this was about juggling how to save and also take care of the responsibilities back home that I was leaving, which was my son and my apartment and my dog and my car and everything. So it was difficult to feel like I had everything in the right box. And the whole year that I was there, it was like the whole time I was there, it was a weird.
It's literally this guy dancing without the hat on his head.
Yeah,
but maybe there was there.
Well, and
were you counting money?
It was, yes. Every time I wanted to leave, because I was like, I hate it here. They used to tell us that too. They were like, open up your bank account and look at that money that you're getting deposited every month. And I was like, God, it does work. It does work when you see a $15,000 check hit at the end of the month, because you only get paid once a month over there. I was like, oh, okay, I can do one more month. And that's kind of how you end up completing all 12 of them. It's just trying to stay focused. But the back and forth, the juggling of even my living situations, so this card for me dealt with all aspects: money, my house where I lived in Afghanistan, where my home was, where my son was living with his dad that I was paying for, just the whole thing. It was a lot of balancing, even though I was very excited about this opportunity. And I had like that, I had tunnel vision. I was like, I see the end. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get this. Because if you stay the whole 12 months, if you don't end your contract early, you get a $25,000 bonus. And I was like, I want that. Yes, I'm taking that. So while I was over there, my job was about sensing and warning rockets and mortars coming onto the base. And I took this job very seriously. Again, this was a job where I kept people on the base safe by letting them know that we would have incoming rockets or missiles so they could take cover and hopefully not be, hurt or get shrapnel. And I took the job so seriously, I was so good at it, that they actually moved me to the head office within weeks, because I was just so adamant about everything that was going on. I came in and just sort of cleaned house as far as the reports needed to be better. Everything needed to be upgraded. People were just over there slacking. So my profession got, I don't know how to say that. Like, I keened in on what needed to be done and did it so well that then I got sent to the head office to like manage other bases, not just mine. I was like, whoa, that happened fast.
So remember, this is a card of being a skilled professional or a craftsman. So this is where that skilled, even though you see a builder here in our modern day, the builder is a builder, not of actual structures perhaps, but it's a builder job. of processes.
It's
for
crafting your
processes and just like
whatever that looks like. For me, a lot of my work was compiling reports, especially once we had, a rocket or missile hit the base. There needed to be a lot of reports sent out, and everything got sent back to the States, all the data we collected. So this was getting very, very good at, writing probably too. I had to communicate these stories of, we had places get hit, like when the gym got hit and people got hurt. One of our guys was in the gym at that time, and actually he knew the Simpson Warren sound. So he told everybody, like, get down, get out. And then it hit the gym. He was injured, but he got everybody out within 6 seconds, like out of harm's way. It was pretty incredible. Wow. So through the training, we were able to do things like that.
And this is why I didn't want her to go. Yeah, because they bomb shit there.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It wasn't always fun, but it got me here and all of this right now. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So when, fast forward, I did my year, everything worked out. I came back with more money than I needed to move. And that allowed me to actually take off like a year. I just spent all that time with my son every single day. We moved to Florida. I didn't know anybody here. I lived in a hotel for 30 days and I was like, yeah, we're just going to figure it out. I didn't really try to get a job. I was like, yeah, I've got plenty of money in the bank and I pay all my bills. But there was a part of me where I did not want to give anything more than I had to. I was still living like I was only making $30,000 a year when really I had money to do whatever Cameron and I wanted to do, but I had the same thing as my mom. I was like, I'm still actually poor. I just have a little bit of extra cash right now. So, I didn't reach out to family, friends. I didn't try to help anybody. I didn't donate to anything during that year because I thought this is going to run out. This is going to run out. That I had like a ticking time clock on my bank account of like, this is only good for so long. And then I'm going to have to do something else again. And I really didn't want to go back over to Iraq or Afghanistan. So I was trying to figure something out. So I started hoarding and not buying anything. Like the house that Cameron and I lived in was very minimally furnished. I was like, we don't need a lot. But, we ate the same thing for dinner all the time. I literally lived like I was, on welfare when I wasn't. And I was just like, the simple life is good for me. I'm fine with that. So that was me.
Reminiscent of your childhood.
Yeah, it was just, it's hard to fight that
macaroni and cheese and hot dogs a lot.
Really? All I remember is PB&J.
Okay,
and sometimes crackers and butter and cheese. I don't know. So I think that for this card, it's about the lack as well. What I found was with all of my success through the Navy and the trainings that I've done, I'd spent a year in Iraq, I'd spent a year in Afghanistan doing all these really big, high profile jobs. I could not get a job in the regular market. Every time I went to an interview, they're like, oh, you have great experience, but you don't have a degree. I'm like, yeah, I've been busy. Do you see that resume? I've been all over the place. I haven't had time to go to school. And nobody liked that answer. So my feeling like I was out in the cold was every time I went to a job interview, I could tell that they were disappointed that I was a female also. They're like, oh, you're Jamie? Oh, it was, because most of the IT world, it's all men. The tech industry was really run by men 15 years ago when I was, has it been 14 years ago? Yeah. That's when I was trying to get a job in Tampa and it was not working. Every job I went to was like, oh, you're just not what we're looking for. I don't think you'd fit with our team. And I'm like, why? Because I have boobs? Like, come on, man. I'll wear a sports bra and like a big, jersey shirt or something. Like I can do this job probably better than all of you. And I remember this one guy while he was interviewing me, I think he was just trying to kind of ask me questions so that he said he could say he interviewed me, but I wasn't a good fit. And he goes, how would you feel about telling people the same thing every day? I was like, I'm a mom. I do that professionally. I tell my kid the same thing every day. No, you can't have that. This is what we're doing. Come over here. I was like, that's just part of it. And I had everybody in the room laughing with it, but I still did not get hired. That was not enough. So that was me feeling left out in the cold and like waiting for that hope of something has to fit. Something is right. And that is when I know that this is not about relationships, but I met my husband and he gave me the courage to use my GI Bill and go back to college because he was generous enough to say, I will stand by you while you're in college. Because I had the GI Bill, I got money just for going to school. They paid for all my school, but then I also got like $2,500 every month to just live off of. Just free because I was in the military when 9/11 happened. It's awesome. Love it. Post 9/11 GI Bill. Great stuff. But I was still really scared. And it was through my husband's generosity of telling me, like, if there's a bill that you can't pay, and we were just barely dating at this time, He's like, if there's a bill you can't pay, I will help you. If there is something that you need, I will help you. I will be there. Because I was terrified. I was like, live off $2,500 a month? It's like, my rent is $1,100. I was like, it's not possible. I have a child. Like, no way. So that was me. I am the person down here like saying, yes, I need help in order to achieve my goals because I'm afraid. And if I don't have somebody stable next to me, I'm like, no, I would just go do another crazy job again, for a lot of money. And that would be my rotation of life. Deployed home, deployed home. So that is my generosity card in my story. All right. 4 years later, after I graduated college, I had worked really hard at everything that I did within there. And I got a job with an author to help write a book about leadership. And that was amazing. So this was me looking at all that hard work I did in college, never knowing that I was actually going to get a job while I was still in. I got it in my senior year through one of my professors. This is me admiring, like, damn, you did good work and it paid off. Like, here's the first thing good that came out of you taking that chance to go back to school. And I totally changed my profession. I went from being an IT to being a psychologist. And I was like, okay, this was a good move, and with getting that opportunity before I was even graduated, that was awesome because it put me into the real world with a real job, working like not technically corporate, but, under somebody who's doing something creative and wants to help people in leadership. I was like, again, another job being in service to others, that was my reap what you sow. So after 4 years of college, I was able to get a job that my skills were shining through that. For the 8 of Pentacles, this card is about the skilled worker. This was probably to my detriment because I have this idea in my head that everybody's going to be honorable and everybody's going to tell the truth and everybody's going to be good, especially when you're doing things like coaching and leadership and caring about people. So I got really, really good at that, which made me notice all the people around me being shady, maybe sometimes, maybe a little shady, not telling the truth, trying to do the thing that we were telling people they shouldn't do in leadership. So as my skilled worker, I made good money. I traveled the US and Europe. It was literally like the job I always dreamed of. Travel for work. It's all paid for, and yet I wasn't happy. Helping people. Like I loved all the people that I got to communicate with and like team build and all of that. There should be there's no sad point to this, but in my story, I have to leave it because I didn't like it. But as a skilled worker, that's what I went and did. I honed my skill. I went out there and helped people. And I, again, it's like building a resume almost. I had all these credentials that I built up for proof that, I know what I'm doing. I achieved financial independence, but yeah. So my story, like, I can tell the good parts of it, but I can't really say I walked away because that's not what's in the cards. So when I achieved my financial independence, I immediately turned around and gave it up because I wasn't happy in what I was doing. And my husband was like, you need to be doing something and retire from something that you want to do that doesn't feel like work, that you truly believe in. So my financial independence is probably not mine in the background somewhere. My husband is hiding behind these things and he's helping me with my financial independence and allowing me to grow at my own pace. So I'm supported by him. But for my financial independence, once I had it and I thought that was like the thing to get, that's what you work for your whole life, then I just gave it up. Because I realized that was not what was going to make me truly happy, is saying that I earn a lot of money and I do all these things. I was like, wow, I missed home more. I missed being with my kid and my husband. I thought having
to work a lot.
Yeah, I worked a lot. Yeah. Writing a book is hard work. It's a lot of hours. And then training and coaching, you're traveling for it. You're staying in hotels. You're gone. I mean, I thought I had the job I wanted, like that I envisioned for myself. And once I got it, I was like, I don't actually really like that. I want to do something else. So even though I achieved financial independence, I let mine go. And for the last card, what mine looks like now is that I don't seek monetary value in things. I think I seek more emotional and connectedness, being of service to people where there's money involved and stuff, but it's not the focus. Yeah, I was trying to make it to where it wasn't
I
shiny.
was looking at what I wrote on the back, which was financial security. Financial security. So this is a card about financial security. Yeah. So that's what I was looking at, because I have it memorized.
For the financial security of this card for myself, like I said, my husband is very financially successful. So I have financial security. I mean, whatever I wanted to do, he would be like, yes, as long as it was within reason. I'm not going to like buy a Lamborghini or some dumb stuff like that. But it's like, I don't have to worry about the money. So what do I focus on now? We talked about this in Monday's meeting, where once you've gained the security financially that you're looking for, what is that next card when you go to the ace? Now, what are you doing with all of that experience or money? Now that is no longer a concern for you, what do you get to focus on and put back out into the world? And for me, it's the witch school that we're building. It's having the meetups. It's being there for people. It's making the connections. It's helping people on their spiritual path, whatever that looks like for them. We
built a whole community of witches over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And so
this was it. This was my end result. This is what I wanted is to do this instead of chasing, instead of being here and worrying about lack. And I got really lucky. My husband is able to support me doing that. And I don't have to be focused on monetary value of things. Now he would say different. He's like, you need to be making money, but that's not the no goal. It's just,
you don't have to make money to pay rent or a mortgage or a car payment. So you don't have to worry about those basic things. You can worry about or focus on other types of security, material security.
And since I am a disabled veteran, I get money for that every month. So I do have this little thing that will last until forever. But so there's things that have happened that set me up to be able to grow slow with this and in a meaningful way and in a way that connects. And that's what, after you've realized your financial goals and that's not what you have to think about and worry about anymore, now it's getting back to how do you connect with your place in the world that has meaning for it, bringing it back to that spiritual side of what's the whole purpose?
Well, and I think where is the generosity? I think once you get to this, then you should get to this to now you're not the person down here, you're the person here that's helping other people.
Definitely.
And even if it's not money, because you're not really giving people money, but what you are giving them is your time and your knowledge and your support through the witch school and the meetup and all the things that we've done over the last 3 years.
Yeah. I do give to a lot of charities that are for animals though. Here I do. I like the Amazon list thing, and then we have a place.
She even donates Wikipedia every year. She just told me that.
Yes.
And then
you got to keep Wikipedia alive.
Yeah. And then I popped into Wikipedia today to look something up, and they're like, we need money. I was like, okay, I need to donate to that.
$1, $3, $5.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, when you get past that lack mindset, and then, I'm not saying give to every single cause because that's imbalance, right? But find causes that you do really want to support. Like I gave to, oh my gosh, it's so sad. I can't remember their name. The people who go out there and they're like on the boats with whales and like the whole shit.
I don't know. But, saying that about getting to the point where you feel like you can start giving to other people and being generous with what you have, your generosity doesn't have to be $100 donation. It can be a $10 donation
to
whatever cause, because, all those little $1 and $3 and $10 and $5, those small donations, any organization that is fundraising for their cause, it's all of those small donors that really build up the funds. Yeah. It's not the big donors that give $100,000. Those are great, but it's all the little people giving like $5 and $10. Mm-hmm. So if you ever feel like, it's like, I just don't have enough to give, you do, you just have to think of it in a way that's like manageable for you. And I guess at a point, maybe for you too, depending on where you are in your life, because as you can tell from both of our stories, there was a point where we were like, I'm a broke ass bitch and I don't have money for shit. I'm just surviving. That's all I'm doing.
And it's always very interesting. Like some of the studies that I've looked at for people who win the lottery and then 4 years later they're actually worse off than when they won it.
Oh my gosh, that's the
because
saddest thing I've ever.
They don't know how to manage it. They're not, it's an adjustment as you acquire more, and then the responsibility that comes with that to either, I want to say like protect it, but to have somebody manage it for you so that you don't screw it up if it is a great opportunity.
Okay, so I want to tell you guys a crazy story about my whole like going from being super broke to not like having like no money in the bank from paycheck to paycheck, like literally living paycheck to paycheck, where you're like, okay, this week we have to visit the food bank because we don't have enough food in the house. And then you get to the point where you're not like that. And what was I going to just say?
I do not know.
Where was I going with
when
that?
you said food bank, I just remember going in there and like, I was like, well, why is it cheaper? And it's because it's about to be the expiration date of some of the stuff, or it was like just barely past it. There's no mold on the
I'm
bread.
sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with it. No, I forgot.
We go from being broke to lack to hoarding it to then being generous with it to realizing there's enough. I think that's the good part about telling a story through the cards, is seeing how you can get an amazing opportunity and you start trying to incorporate that into your life, and then you're confronted with past patterns of your beliefs, because even though this is a card about our physical world, there's still going to be things like our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions about those things. And then it just carries on. It's like, how do you go from being that miser hoarder of the resources to this is the 7, and that is not in the right order. Where's the 5? Hold on.
Well, I think what I was going to say was about when you're accustomed to living a certain way, and then your life starts to change because your situation improves. So I think everybody, or for most people, for most of us anyway, we get out into the world when we're 18 years old, and we like can't wait to get away.
Tracy said green peas. Yes, green peas, Tracy. Thank you. I knew it. I knew you'd get it.
Was that it? Was it green peas?
I did it for like 4 years. And Tony was like, when are you going to do this forever? I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to do it. I signed up one day and then I let 4 years go by. I was like, yeah, it's $25 a month.
I think when you start out when you're young, and I think this is like even more so today, but when I started out, my very first apartment was like a studio that was furnished. I don't even know what I paid for it, but I worked as a waitress, and I just barely made enough money to scrape by. And then you start making more money, but what seems to happen when you make more money is like it's all gone unless you're. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I got into this habit once I had money. Once I had a little more money to spend, I had like extra. Like I wasn't like literally like there's no money in the bank. We have to go to the food bank because there's not enough food in the house. When I got enough money, I started doing this crazy ass thing. I started going to Walmart and just buying crap, right? I didn't think of it. I didn't think
hangers.
The hangers.
The hanger story.
This is a story about hangers and what happens to you when you come out of a long period of your life where you're like super poor and don't feel like you have anything, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of money, and the next thing you know, you're just going to Walmart and he's like, I can afford to buy these plastic hangers now, because you remember hangers used to be metal, right?
Some are in our house.
They still are.
Yeah, all of
you
my
need metal hangers for like
metal.
You need metal hangers for breaking into cars and stuff. But anyway, I got to this point where I like had enough extra where I could go and like splurge a little bit. And I would go to Walmart and I would just buy stuff. It felt good to buy. It was comforting. I did this for a long time until one day I looked in my drawer or something. And I'm like, I have 6 of these. I have like 400 plastic hangers all over the house. Like, why am I buying 50 more hangers? So it was like this compulsive thing that I was buying because for such a long time I hadn't been able to do that.
Just spend
when to just buy what I wanted. And then when did I need anything? Did I need the plastic? I thought I needed the hangers, but no, I didn't. I ended up with like 5,000 of them, actually probably 500. And then what happened to me at that point, like the craziest thing happened, I was like, I took a step back because when I realized I was just buying stuff, and that buying stuff thing probably went on for like 3 years. And then I took a step back and was like, what if I stopped doing that and started putting this money away? Oh my God. And that is when I learned about the power of saving and how good it felt to have money in the bank and not spend it.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I stopped doing that thing and I had like $5,000 saved. And I was like, oh, I thought I was rich. Like $5,000 saved in the bank. Are you kidding me? Oh, that was it. That was the beginning. That was when I stopped that, like,
habit.
Poor people
habitual.
habit of spending, because you have money to spend. So anyway, wherever you are in your life, maybe you can relate to either one of our stories about the Pentacles.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's got their own story about when they were poor
or felt
or
poor.
broke.
Yeah.
Poor and felt broke and struggled,
jobs, not finding the place that you.
I mean, we're here, that's what this experience here is for us as human beings living, this life that we're here on in this plane, in this.
I love it. She is trying so hard to say we are souls having a physical experience.
I was trying to say this is something about the playground, but it's not a playground. I was looking for the classroom. Thank you.
Yeah. That was like fun beat around the bush one.
We're here in this classroom called Earth as human beings, when it's really like our spirit is here, but we have to live in this physical world. We have to survive it.
Yeah.
And so we all face these types of challenges with our resources and how we choose to use them, how we think about them, which is a really, really powerful
our relationship with them,
which is so powerful because the world tells us that we need, society says, here's the level that you need to be at. Here's where it's like the keeping up with the Joneses.
What does success look like?
Yeah. Here's where success is. And you're down here. And so you're always striving. And then when you get to what society says is success, when you get there, you're like, and you look around and you're going like, well, this isn't very satisfying. Oh, I mean, I worked all this way to get up here and now I got this big ass mortgage and a boat and all this stuff. And it's like, there's more stress here and I got to work harder. And it's like, really? It just makes me want to go live in the woods as a witch.
In a witch commune.
In a witch commune.
Yeah. Just have a bunch of little houses all around. We all tend the garden together. Have goats. Yeah.
All right. Well,
after those entertaining stories, this will conclude our tarot lives and courses, everything, the whole tarot thing. This is it for us. So, we are getting ready to schedule the rest of our lives out for the coming Yule season. We're planning on doing at least 3. As you guys know, I will be gone next week.
There's 4.
Because
there's doing 4. So we're going to do 4 lives for the next,
skipping next week.
We're skipping next week because it's Thanksgiving and Jamie's going to be in London.
I'll be in London.
But the following week is November 30th. And so we're going to start a little series. Do we want to give them a hint?
I don't know if it's a series. Well, I said yes. Go ahead. Kat came up with it, so she can announce.
All right. So, our focus here at the New Witch Academy of Modern Witches is to help beginner witches. So that's our target audience, if you will, is the beginner witch. And so we're going to do a series of lives about the Yule holiday, but it's like how to be an undercover witch during the holidays. So like, especially for new witches who are maybe not out to their families and can't like fly their witch flag. But they still want to like bring some of the traditions and the elements of witchcraft into their space and with their families, but be on the kind of down low, because, with families, it can be well, depending on the family.
I mean,
the reception of, hey, Mom, I'm a witch may not go over really well. So anyway, that is our plan. So we're starting on November 30th, and then we'll do four lives. Yes. And the last one will be on the 21st, which will be Yule.
Yep.
And on that one, we're actually going to just do like a celebration. We're going to so you guys come and join us that night. We're going to drink and celebrate Yule, and it's not going to really be a class. So
It's
anyway.
not going to be a lot of learning just about us.
it's just going to be,
I don't know.
yeah. Like
And we get to
a
ask you
little-
questions. We'll be chatting. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to everybody who came that we didn't get to say hi to yet. Kristen and Selena and Shelly, thank you for joining us, you guys. And of course, Tracy. Mwah. Miss you guys.
All right, you guys.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here. I can't believe we kept you all for an hour, didn't we? Oh my gosh.
We did. We did.
All right. We love
All
you
right.
all. And
We
we
love
will
you.
see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.